Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday. I'm the Grace Strega, and I'm here to give you your daily collective read for today, Monday, August 26, 2024. What do we have coming through in the cards for today? May I please have the first 5 cards in our 5-card spread? First card we are starting our day off with today is 4 of Swords. Slow day. It's going to be a slow day. There's a little bit of energetic heaviness that we're experiencing right now. Listen, I'm telling you right now, this is like the dregs of the retrograde cycle. Things are going to ramp up. Things are going to ramp up. We're moving straight into eclipse season. So I think that there's this moment, like if it's feeling, I know some of the energy right now is feeling the frustration of some of this stillness that we've been experiencing during this retrograde period. Enjoy it. Enjoy it. It's what I'm getting. Enjoy it. Utilize it. Become productive. Don't get frustrated. This could have a different impact too as well, depending on where you are. Like this could be harder for fire sign energy right now. Earth sign is going to be a little bit easier. For masculine and feminine energy deep within divine union, this is a lot of that working towards, like I told you, we saw that a lot of this weekend was actually built upon a lot of activity, a lot of activation. So this is a little bit more of that energetic rest that's coming into circumstances or situations. We're not surprised to see this for the energy that's deep within divine union right now, because you did see, we were talking about that point or that sense of energetic exhaustion that was occurring from all of this work of being patient right now during this retrograde cycle. For masculine, this is for both masculine and feminine right now, deep within that frequency, perseverance, pathwork of purpose. This has been requiring that sense of tenacity and also navigating circumstances and situations with a high degree of focus, but also compassion with boundaries. Masculine energy right now, this is potentially a modality or a moment that like you're potentially just easing or desiring some point of rest right now. For feminine, we see that rest, this is feminine energy trying to move as much as possible prior to coming into that point of rest. I told you it's a little bit, we saw, right, the restlessness. We articulated this coming into the retrograde. Masculine was more restless. Feminine was more like calm. We're seeing that the opposite, these energies are coming through that retrograde. Now, masculine is the one that's building into that point of pacement, like peace and easement, having come through that point of patience. Feminine is feeling more of that, that sense or that space of trying to get things done and starting to feel the energetic frustration of the lag. Masculine and feminine energy right now coming into divine union. This is the energy that's building into that state or space of the trust process, because we saw even now one of 2 different modalities that are occurring for energy that is in divine union right now. These are either the energies that have come into separation, but in that moment of separation, they feel that renewed sense of peace. Why do they feel a renewed sense of peace? Because when we leave a situation, and we build clarity and understanding, we walk away with that point of giving, that point of energetic compassion towards something, that allows for an easement point, that allows for a modality of recognizing and understanding what those separations are. So we see even now that is the gift that the energies have given one another in separation, because it's that recognition and understanding of the pathwork of a lot of this energy that came towards one another. If there was the expression of the emotions, but that was also amplified and met with the articulation of the manifestation goals, even in the modality where those were not the same manifestation goals, the ability to navigate forward from that state with clarity and understanding, not taking something personally. This is what's allowing a lot of the energy to feel some of that reassurance and confidence as they proceed forward on their pathwork, because that is the energetic equivalent of feeling like you were given a gift in that experience that you're then taking with you as you proceed forward. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is building upon coming into divine union and sharing those manifestation goals, this is a lot of the energy that's grounding that in the plans. It's seeing both the ability to articulate on what those plans are and moving towards them. And this is more of that trust process. It's a little bit more of that wait and see. But this is the energy that is building forth in that sense of intentionality to a certain extent, recognizing and identifying, potentially feeling, like learning what it feels like to have that point of reassurance, then that reassurance that feels like, again, that stillness is not the requirement. It's not requiring you to stay uncertain about what the future holds. It is the reassurance and certainty in relationality to the direction something is headed that is building that point of confidence in relation to consistency. While for masculine and feminine energy right now in separation, again, these are moments right now in separation where there's some catharsis, there's some rest, there's some easement coming through. Because for a lot of this energy right now in separation, that acknowledging point, identifying the difference between just moving in the directionality of any effective partnership, but instead becoming very mindful in relationality to what the qualities and characteristics of those relationships are. This is the energy that is coming out of this retrograde with the understanding that when we move towards manifestation goals, we have to be patient, right? That patience is a part of the process. That patience is a part of the progress. The progress, we were getting a lot of this message yesterday. The patience is the progress, because the ability to be patient, the ability to recognize and identify that when you move towards manifestation goals, you don't just grab something and say, like, why aren't you my manifestation goal? But being mindful of observing and seeing if the qualities and characteristics of what you're trying to manifest are being evident in what you're bringing forth. This is the energy that recognizes that no is also moving you towards your manifestation goal, because in the ability to recognize what your manifestation goal is not, you're moving closer to what your manifestation goal is. Continuing, and that's why we see that manifestation goal is a point of learning, right? That's a pathwork of understanding. Continuing to get, and there's a lot of that patience that we see that's occurring for a lot of the energy in separation, because again, the ability to move away from something that was coming towards you, but observing that it wasn't what you were seeking, that feels like an energetic breakthrough, especially if these were modalities where you recognize in the past you would have agonized or faulted yourself because something wasn't coming towards you in the way that you would aspire and desire. Not building into that space of energetically blaming yourself if something isn't what you desire it to be. This is how a lot of that healing is coming through right now for the energy in separation. Second card in our 5-card spread for today is, we have here our King of Pentacles in its upright. So we see even now for masculine and feminine energy, there's a lot of stability that's potentially entering right now for the energy in separation. If these are experiences or circumstances or situations with feminine, this is feminine recognizing and identifying that the ability to find masculine that is able to articulate upon their manifestation goals. That's not something that feels the need to be cultivated. It's something that needs to be recognized. That's simply the ability to recognize that whether someone has that ability from within. This is how a lot of the energy of feminine right now in separation is healing. This is the feminine energy taking that responsibility or burden off of themselves to bring that forth in another. This is the energy that's just recognizes, and this is the mantra that I see a lot of the energy that's moving in separation is saying to themselves from the feminine perspective, which is stable masculine energy will never waver from articulating what their direction is. Masculine energy and a point of energetic stability within the self will always have confidence in articulating what that is, to allow the feminine energy the modality of being able to amplify and co-create that via the ability of having choice. While for masculine energy right now in separation, a lot of this masculine energy also doing this potential path work right now. This is a lot of the masculine energy in separation, feeling the energetic confidence and stability in relationality to what it is that you're trying to grow forth with feminine, and that ability of identifying and recognizing that's building stability within you to a certain extent as well, because both of these energies potentially were going through similar experiences where there was an ability to articulate what it is that they were desiring and aspiring, and if this was something that was not received mutually by the energetic potential counterpart, like I'm telling you even now, the restorational moment comes in not blaming oneself for that, but reassuring oneself that is always a gift to the right energetic party that is invested in moving forward in that way. While for masculine, and this is why we see even now so much of that energy that was in separation, the ability to articulate what your manifestation goals are. This was more of this discussion we were talking about the ability to move the ego aside. Because when we move the energetic ego aside, we're able to get to the heart of things more quickly. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now, this is the energy that is feeling the patience in relationality to the ability to move the ego aside to articulate upon what the manifestation goals are. That is either leading to the breakthroughs right now, the energetic breakthroughs into a connection built upon that sense of patience, built upon that pathwork of stability, of what feels tangible and what feels real. Or, and I have to stress this, even in modalities wherein there was an articulation about manifestation goals, the ability to move the ego aside, and the observation of you and another energetic connection wanting different things. Well, in that moment, you don't take it personally, because in that moment you recognize that when we articulate from a place of openness and honesty, we would never take someone else's pathwork personally. We would be appreciative in them clarifying what it is to make sure that there's alignment and we're not wasting one another's time. So the gift that we're seeing here for some of the energy experiencing that is the compassion that someone gave forth in making sure of being energetically mindful of someone else's time. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is deep within divine union, this is the energy that is being patient. This is the energy that has been patient and has been persevering throughout this retrograde cycle. It's a little bit easier right now for masculine, because if these are modalities that were requiring you to be patient, right? Having some of that amplification point that's potentially occurring as we start to move into eclipse season. This is the energy that's now kind of just moving in that modality of appreciating the rest, right? While for feminine energy right now, this is a little bit more frustrating for feminine right now. It's a little bit more frustrating because we see even now a lot of the energy of feminine during this retrograde feeling like that sense of working tirelessly throughout it, right? Time slowing down. Like I told you, a lot of the frustration that feminine may be feeling right now within this retrograde is that feeling of like doing a lot but not seeing the immediate result upon it, right? Just feeling like you're putting and not getting back in turn. So we see even now that that's more of, again, the same sense of patience for feminine, but this is the patience of the feminine being able to apply a lot of energetic effort, recognizing and identifying that sometimes we have to like front load a lot of energetic effort to see what the energetic outcome will be in the long term. So we see even now a lot of the feminine energy doing that right now. It's difficult, but one of the things that's helping is, again, these are energies that are working as clear mirrors to one another in relationality to kind of seeing how one another works to be able to facilitate those same qualities and characteristics. Third card in our 5-card spread, I told you this is a little bit more difficult right now for feminine, right? Masculine, why is this easier for masculine right now? Because again, that sense or that space of building into patience, a lot of this period that we see has been occurring for the masculine right now has been built upon and driven upon maintaining a point of focus, right? It's been hard for the masculine energy to focus. While for feminine, this is more of that ability of feminine to try to navigate many different things at once, right? So we see even now, this is a lot of the feminine energy trying to be productive to a certain extent. But if the feminine isn't seeing that coming back in such a way, that's more of the feminine questioning themselves in the process of the work that they're doing. And this is a lot of the masculine acting as reassurance to feminine, almost articulating and saying to feminine, listen, sometimes when you put a seed in the ground, you have to wait a little bit. You have to wait a little bit for it to come up. You got to be energetically patient. If you're not seeing that come up, it doesn't mean you should stop. It means you should keep going, right? So we see even now that a lot of that energy working towards building clear mirrors for one another. While for feminine and masculine here that are deep within divine union, the ability of the feminine to again create that ability of the masculine to come into that point of feeling like energetically, I want to say energetically safe to rest is what's coming through. Because this is a lot of that energy that we're seeing right now that is supporting one another through that journey. Masculine is giving feminine more of that, like, I want to say affirmational support. Feminine is giving masculine that support and relationality to helping the masculine, I'm getting here, prioritizing their own rest is what I'm getting here. Continuing to get clarification, because this is something that both of these energies kind of need at this time. That's because this is the closing out of the retrograde, which is kind of leading to a lot of energy feeling some of that exhaustiveness. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, a lot of this energy that we're seeing right now coming into divine union, this is the trust process. The energy within divine union is trusting the process. So this is the important thing to keep in mind. If you need a fast pass way of understanding the difference that's happening between these energies, the energy deep within divine union is going through the lesson of trusting the process. The energy coming into divine union right now is going through the lesson of the trust, the process of trust. They're building into the process of trust. So this is that modality that we see even now. This is why, if these are manifestations, and these are the two different modalities that we're seeing right now, because we said, I'm seeing pathwork here that's either this is energy in separation or energy, and I'm going to say this again, do not misunderstand me here. Please do not misunderstand me. When I articulate and say there's energy in divine union and separation, it is the energy that is given each other full clarity as to the different manifestation goals that are the reason and cause for the energy to be in separation. Do not misunderstand me, okay? Don't, because I know what you might want to do in this moment. I don't want to hear that word. I know what you're trying to say here. Because even here, we're seeing that these are the energies, that ability and recognize the gift that they've given one another by recognizing and identifying that they have different manifestation goals. And we see even now some of that energy is coming into contemplation around their manifestation goals to see if there's still a way to come into a point of energetic connection, even if they have very different pathwork here. Or this is the energy that has set that path for themselves forward, but it's requiring time. And that ability to navigate through the time, this is some of that work that's happening right now, coming out of the retrograde cycle, because it's requiring a certain level or degree of trust. Masculine is doing a lot of work right now to facilitate to feminine, helping them recognize that these are not just words, that there are actions that are being brought into play around these words. Feminine doing that work of trying not to allow themselves to be triggered by past experiences. Both of these, and masculine feeling the anxiety of the feminine being in that moment of uncertainty in the time it's taking to be able to move towards the manifestation goals. So both of these energies are having to do a lot of work in trusting one another. So these are the foundations of trust in relationality to the manifestation goals that are articulated versus the time it's taking to achieve it. But I need to point this out. This isn't energy that's on some kind of indefinite timeline. This is energy that's able to identify very quickly what those points are. Masculine and feminine energy right now in separation, same thing that I've been saying. This is energy. If these are situations or circumstances wherein the gift that occurred was energy in separation, just leading forth by articulating what their manifestation goals are. If this is energy that it confronted someone that was just articulating how they feel, instead of providing clarity and context as to what that means going forward. And I see even now, this is either energy that was dealing with energy from the past coming back in this fashion, or new energetic connections that reach that culmination point. The ability, I'm going to tell you right now, the gift that's coming through for the energy and separation is the ability to recognize that a manifestation goal is not something that you need to wait upon to receive from someone. That the ability to state one's intentions, this is the gift that's coming through for the energy and separation. That's not something that one needs to be patient on. That's something that should just come by way of introduction. That's something that should come by way of articulation. It's not the fact that that can't change. But we're seeing even now, and this is the lesson that's coming through on that ability to articulate upon that this is what's now being taken forward to help the energy. This is why this energy is feeling like they've had a breakthrough, even if they're coming into separation. Because if these were circumstances where the energy would have patiently waited for something that was not emerging, this is also remembering that if we move towards someone and we say to ourselves, well, there's something, they're missing something, but maybe if I stick around, it'll become evident. That's also a failure point in moving away from our own manifestation goals. Because those are those moments that we're basically saying, I don't like what I see, but maybe if I stick around, something will change. So this is the energy that's acknowledging both the ability to move towards our manifestation goals, is recognizing the internal barriers within the self that often move us oppositionally away from the things that we desire. So that ability of navigating forward in such a way, it doesn't create that sense of feeling like one needs to change the environment to become more accommodating to what it is that you desire to bring into focus. It's simply seeking the energy that moves in kind, so that you feel that excitement, you feel that joy in moving together towards manifestations, instead of the feeling that you're bringing someone into it that is reluctant and resistant to do so in the first place. Fourth card in our 5-card spread for today is the Death card. So we've got here beautiful change that is potentially occurring right now for a lot of this energy and separation, and the change is the valuation in terms of how you're navigating forward into energetic connections. This is a lot of energy that is recognizing that the ability to move towards healthy partnership means it's requiring you to be energetically selective in what you feel like is not one that is healthy. It's coming into that space of focusing. And so a lot of this energy that we're seeing here, this is coming through by way of the ability to articulate and anticipate what those manifestation goals are. Because, and again, it is having a different impact on masculine and feminine energy. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Feminine energy. If these are experiences in the past where you may have told yourself, well, I just need to be patient. I need to just acknowledge or feel like masculine is going to reveal what the manifestation goals are after they feel that I'm energetically worthy to receive them. This is the feminine energy in separation going, what the heck is that? Why would one need to wait to know what a manifestation goal is? A manifestation goal, the ability to articulate on a manifestation goal, is not a gift. It's not a gift to be received. It is something that should be immediate. There should be an immediacy in that. And so for a lot of the energy right now, this is the recognition point that when we move into partnership in any context, we always have a manifestation goal. There's always an aspiration that is that is desired. The ability to articulate through that. This is a lot of the feminine energy just coming into the point and saying that's not something that requires an ability to feel like one has earned the ability to know what that is. This is the feminine energy saying that the masculine energy in a point of stability isn't going to hold that aloft or hold that away from the feminine as some kind of grand gift to articulate to the feminine. It should just be presented in its immediacy. Because this is the feminine energy recognizing and saying that when masculine comes towards feminine with their manifestation goals, it requires one of two things. It either requires a sense of deep bravery in the masculine to be able to build forth with feminine in a space or place of feeling confident enough in the self to articulate what their dreams are with the feminine. And it requires a masculine energy that looks at feminine as co-creator and towards a manifestation goal that they feel that the feminine energy would also be inclined and desiring to move forth with as well. While we see here the same is true for masculine. A lot of this masculine energy coming into that point of authenticity, we definitely see that a lot of this masculine energy, that ability of working through this is helping you build your own energetic confidence, because this is masculine energy remembering that feminine energy, like when we bring forth our manifestation goals to feminine, there's always that possibility of the feminine that may not necessarily be inclined to have the same manifestation goals as we ourselves do. But why would you ever want to move forward with someone that does not have the same manifestation goals as you? What kind of experience does that create in relationality? It doesn't create one that builds a point of joy. It creates one where the feminine feels insecure, is constantly questioning, builds into that state or space of becoming confusing. And if the feminine energy is confusing, this is the masculine in separation, recognizing and taking the energetic responsibility of saying, if the feminine is coming towards me from a place of confusion, it's because the feminine is reflecting the confusion that they're seeing within me back towards me, because that is what I'm giving forth to them. So we see even now that a lot of that masculine energy, this is feeling like that sense of personal responsibility in taking on that desire to build forth from a point of change. Because this is, again, that reminder of masculine, that the way that you build a healthy connection with feminine is you create that space or place where the feminine feels energetically safe to inhabit it with you. So we see even now that that's a lot of that energy and separation, committing to that pathwork of change. For feminine, it's coming forth in that space of not feeling like one needs to change the masculine so much as just observe the circumstance that the masculine is approaching towards you. For masculine, it's coming into confidence enough in the self to feel the ability to articulate to the feminine and to offer what your manifestation goal is to the feminine by way of choice. So that way the feminine can build forth into a place of honesty and understanding. So a lot of beautiful transformation energy that we see is occurring right now in separation. As we see some energy potentially moving away from a circumstance or situation where there was confusion in relationality to being able to articulate and build forth in the mutual manifestation goals. The ability, the gift that's coming for the energy and separation is not taking that process personally. Now, for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union right now, this is, again, two different modalities that I'm seeing. This is either the energy that, again, moved towards one another, articulated the manifestation goals, recognized that they had different manifestation goals, came into separation. But in the moment of separation, they've given each other the gift of divine union, because the ability to see and recognize how easy it can be to facilitate a connection with someone from a place of openness, honesty, and clarity. This is the energy that has effectively given each other what they need to continue forward in such a way. And this is very transformative, because we see even now, this is the energy that basically said to one another, my manifestation goals are important, but what's more important is that we are in alignment. This is the energy that recognizes and sees someone and says their viability, their value, their compassion is one that they see first and foremost, that the prioritization of coming into a connection is making sure that it is one that is an equal choice in relationality to building forth towards each other together. And that's something that the energy is taking with them. And that is the gift that they've given each other as they continue forward. And potentially with that possibility that their paths may cross again at some point, were those manifestation goals to change. While for masculine and feminine energy, wherein we see that there's that alignment that's occurring, there's a lot of fast change that's happening in those modalities, specifically because we see that masculine is concerned because feminine is building into a point of trust right now. And this is the masculine energy acting from a point of integrity that remembers that words are nothing without action. And so they're doing everything they can to try to facilitate towards feminine, to show the feminine that those are not just words, that those are actually actions that are added to the words that they're stating in relationality to what those manifestation goals are. A lot of this energy deep within divine union right now is just navigating a lot of these spaces or places of having to trust the process. Trusting the process during this retrograde has been very difficult because things have been very slow. There's been a lot of communication holdups. There's been a lot of stillness occurring. But again, the ability to trust the process right now is the transformational energy that we're seeing right now that is occurring for a lot of the energy deep within the divine union frequency. It's a little bit harder for feminine right now, because for feminine energy, there's that feeling of potentially putting a lot of work in, not necessarily seeing the immediate results. But don't let that, they're saying even now, don't let that move you out of alignment. Remember the difference between what you're experiencing externally outside of the self versus what's internally within. Fifth card in our 5-card spread for today is, we've got here our 6 of Swords in its reversal. So the easement point, again, the overarching message is coming through right now is, remember that the retrograde is almost over. The retrograde is almost over, but again, there's going to be a big expansiveness of energy once eclipse season starts. And it's almost like this energy, it's like you're going to remember when it was still and kind of like wish it was like, it's like this is like giving me a lot of that like quietude moment that starts to feel like a little energetically oppressive because things are about to like kind of like, become very active again. So that's why I'm saying even now, don't take things personally right now. Get productive. Continue to stay in that pathwork of focus. Be intentional. Do the best that you can, because I know right now it's feeling very frustrating for both masculine and feminine deep within divine union. But again, you just have to be patient throughout it right now. For masculine and feminine coming into divine union, this is the energy that can't move fast enough right now. This is the energy right now. It's fast and slow. That's what's so frustrating about it. This is energy I'm getting here. This is energy that is talking fast, moving slow. What do I mean by talking fast, moving slow? I mean, this is energy that is talking towards what those plans are, but being very methodical in those plans. Because this is laying a lot of plans and then recognizing that those plans like are slow. They're long term. So we see even now that could be a lot of fast activation on long-term plans that's occurring for energy coming into divine union right now. While for energy that is in separation, this is the energy that is finding peace in the circumstances of that energetic separation and moving with a lot of like the easement by which they're moving away from something is the gift that they've given one another, because they're resting easy in the knowledge of the understanding of what occurred between them. While for masculine and feminine in separation right now, I see a lot of this energy in separation that just navigated a circumstance where you're recognizing and you're reaffirming and you're feeling very proud of yourself for maintaining energetic standards. So if there's something about this experience that just occurred for masculine and feminine in separation where it felt like a bit of the past came back in some new way, either these are like literal circumstances from the past reemerging, or these are circumstances where something was occurring that felt similar to the past. This is a lot of the energy that's feeling the easement point, if you will, and experiencing something to a certain degree and saying to oneself, I learned something valuable from the past that's helping me move forward with greater easement. And that is effectively a bit of the gift that the retrograde is providing right now for the energy in separation, because that observational point of being able to look at the past through new eyes is giving a lot of clarity and relationality towards energy moving towards their manifestation goals at this time. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our Four of Swords in combination with our King of Pentacles in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Thank you. Clarification coming through right now. Five of Pentacles. There's some abandonment wounds that are rising to the surface here. I don't want anybody getting triggered today. When I see these two cards here, like there's a little bit of this energy here. It's oppressive. I'm going to say it like that. It's a bit oppressive. But when we feel energy that's oppressive, we remember the difference in terms of something that feels like it's momentarily oppressive versus something that is just triggering to us. Because I see even now, there could be some situations that may be arising today that feel a little energetically triggering. But what do we do? What do we do when we experience circumstances or situations that are energetically triggering? We observe the energetic trigger. We don't react to it. We articulate upon the trigger. We don't react to it. I'm going to say it right now. Now is not a time to be impulsive. Now is a time to feel grounded through something that feels like it would have previously made you more impulsive. Because we see even now a lot of this energy that we're seeing here. Like, look at this. These two cards together. You know? This is a little frustrating, right? This is like someone going through the back and forth of saying, like, you know what I mean? Like a little bit of that type of energy here, right? But again, what do we see that we like to see around this? We see very grounded feminine, we feel grounded masculine energy here. We see feminine that, again, may be recognizing and trying not to take something energetically personally, right? So that's what we see again. I'm going to say, I have to keep saying this right now. I'm going to keep having to say this until the end of the retrograde. Don't take it personally right now. Don't take it personally. Become productive. Don't take it personally. Just be productive. Because a lot of this right now is feeling like some abandonment wounds that are being triggered. And that could be some of these experiences that are hearkening back from the past. Right? Why do we get triggered? We get triggered when something reminds us of the past where an abandonment wound may have formed. So if that's occurring, don't let those shadows of the past, create that. Don't let them cast forward, articulate upon them occurring. Masculine and feminine energy right now coming into divine union. This is the trust. This is, I told you, the energy within divine union right now has to trust the process. The energy coming into divine union is working on the process of trust. Because everything I'm seeing right now coming into divine union, if these are energies that are laying out those plans, but there's a bit of that wait and see here. This is the energy that's feeling the anxiety of the past coming back to the surface and feeling that sense or that space of, again, not like, and I want to put it this way. I want to put it this way to help energy moving in this way. If you're feeling anxiety, that's something that you're coming towards right now that's giving you a lot of clarity in relationality to what those plans are. If you're seeing them here, if they're energetically present, it's asking you to use a little bit of scrutiny. It's asking you to say to yourself, are you feeling triggered because of an experience of the past? Is this different? Because I feel like a lot of the energy right now is almost saying to themselves, yes, this is different. Like, this is that ability of not coming into that space of assumption, especially if these are modalities where feminine has had these moments where they couldn't trust masculine. So we see even now, how is the masculine building into that point of assurance, recognizing that words mean nothing with action? This is masculine that's building into that space of helping the feminine understand and recognize that moving towards them. And I like this energy here because this is the masculine energy looking towards feminine, and not, again, if this is feminine articulating their anxieties, this isn't masculine taking those anxieties personally. This is the masculine recognizing that if the feminine is articulating their fears to the masculine, they're doing so that masculine can come into a point of reassurance. They're doing so that masculine can build into that point of reassurance, not trying to accuse masculine. So we see even now that this is a lot of that energy that's healing through the abandonment wounds, because when we're able to articulate upon a fear, but we don't take another's articulation and we don't subject another to our fear. I'm going to say this again. When we articulate on a fear, but we don't subject another to our fear, then that's how we basically heal and recognize the ability of observing and creating frameworks by which we can alleviate one another's fears. While for masculine and feminine energy right now that is in separation, this is the energy that's basically moving towards someone because the abandonment wound is too strong in order to try to facilitate an energetic connection. Because when we build forth in a state or space where we don't tell each other what those manifestation goals are, we're basically we're making someone exist in a relationship that's constantly, you're always experiencing the abandonment wound. You're always experiencing the abandonment wound because, again, if that's emotions or scenarios where you're just building into a space of the emotions articulating the commitment, there's a recognition that emotions change. And so emotions changing and not an uncertainty in relationality to what something is, like what is going to occur in the long term, or what even exists between you and another energetic connection. This is, again, that amplification that the articulation of emotions is not commitment. The articulation of emotions is just the articulation of emotions. And it can create, when you try to build into a relationship that is just the articulation of the emotions with no clarity of the path forward, you're basically existing and you're residing within an abandonment wound. You're residing in a space or place with heightened anxiety because you're never sure what's going to occur. You're never sure what's going to happen next. You're always in that present state of feeling like things are either moving, and it can create a confusion state because you always feel like nothing is necessarily wrong, but everything is energetically wrong because you don't know what's going to happen next. So we see even now for a lot of energy just recognizing and understanding the nature of scenarios of that quality and characteristic. This is what's allowing that breakthrough point and being able to identify and articulate and say to someone, you're not creating a committed relationship with me. You're just seeking that ability of having someone at your energetic disposal. When we don't build clarity in terms of where something is going, when we don't give someone the amplification of choosing that destination, what we're basically saying is this is a take it or leave it situation. And it could be just, and it could go away at any moment. So we see even now that that's a lot of that energy that's just like the breakthrough that's happening for a lot of energy and separation is just moving away from situations like that, not trying to get in there and go, well, I guess I should fix this if it's the nature of the situation. Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now between our King of Pentacles in combination with our star energy in its reversal. May I please have one card to clarify? Woo! Got a transverse Knight of Cups coming through, flying out of the deck. Now for masculine and feminine energy right now, you know, this is a lot of that work that we're seeing here to a certain extent. A lot of this work that's occurring right now, and I have to stress this. Masculine and feminine, a bit of a different journey here. This is some of the masculine energy recognizing and realizing that this is why it's so important for masculine energy to learn the ability to articulate upon what they dream about. Because for masculine energy, if you're in that modality wherein, again, you have that desire to build forth with feminine, but it's hard for you to express those plans. It's hard for you to tell the feminine what those dreams are. You have to recognize and understand that when the feminine encounters you in that way, there's no way of them to tell. There's no way. There's no way to tell the difference. There's no way to tell the difference between masculine energy that's moving with energetic integrity but has fear, because you cannot move with integrity with fear, or masculine energy that is not inclined to articulate their manifestation goals to feminine because that is their intention of not building as co-creators with feminine, but wanting to be in a space or place of being able to move with autonomy. So we see even now that for a lot of the energy navigating those spaces and places, that ability of masculine to work on building into their emotional center to such a degree that they're able to articulate not only how they feel, but what they aspire to create with feminine. This is that work of the masculine realizing that the reason that you do that is not just for the self, but it's also how you protect the feminine energy around you. Bearing in mind, this is not based on gender, but what it feels most aligned to. Feminine recognizing the same modality, and this is the pain of moving forward as feminine, because for feminine, that observational point that when you encounter something in that modality, that recognition point that there may be one of two different vectors that is occurring, either a masculine that is too afraid to articulate what their dreams are, looks exactly the same as masculine energy that has dreams that they're not inclined to share with the feminine. That's why we see even now, this is the feminine coming into that point of energetic acceptance of having to kind of say that the valuation point, it requires the feminine to kind of bundle them up together, because even if there's a possibility that the other is occurring, this is the feminine almost articulating to themselves that it's not the feminine's responsibility to bring masculine into a point of confidence. That is not the burden that should be placed upon the feminine. That is something that the feminine needs to come into that modality of just recognizing. And again, the ability of the feminine to say to masculine, you know, when you're confident, you know where to find me. Like, this is a lot of that work that we see that's occurring right now in separation, because this is the feminine energy saying again to the masculine, your emotions, this is the feminine almost saying to masculine, if you're coming towards the feminine with just the emotions, this is the feminine energy saying to masculine, I recognize that there is a world that you could be coming towards me with all the emotions in the world. But that doesn't mean you want to co-create with feminine. You can have all the passion you want towards feminine, but that doesn't mean that you want to co-create with feminine. Doesn't mean you want to build with feminine. You could have all the feelings in the world towards a feminine, but that's not the same as having a manifestation goal with the feminine. And this is the feminine energy, like looking at something and saying, it's sad but true. Sad but true. Continuing forward in this way, this is why for masculine and feminine coming into divine union right now, there's so much of this work that's occurring right now, because this is the masculine energy saying to feminine, right now, the things that I'm bringing forth to you are words. I know that that is not enough, because this is the masculine energy moving into a space of commitment, of saying, I am going to show you that these are not just words, because words are important, but actions speak louder than words. So we see even now, this is the energy that's building forth towards one another. And then for a lot of the masculine energy coming towards feminine in this way, this is rectifying and beautiful. Because this is the masculine energy saying, I know that the reason that I'm not taking it personally if you don't energetically trust me, because I know that the experience that you may have had prior to this point were because masculine energy was in that modality where they weren't building into that space that you could trust. So this is the masculine energy in that state of authenticity that's saying, I'm not going to have to make you exist in a place where my words are trying to build the foundation for you. I'm going to show you that those words have tangibility. While for a lot of this energy, and I have to stress this even now, even in these experiences that we're seeing, where there was an amplification or articulation upon what those manifestations goals were, and the recognition that they did not share the same manifestation goals, even here, the gift that's occurring is that sense of healing that both provide one another in that modality, because that ability of letting something go and saying, I don't want to just move towards a manifestation goal if it's not the same as you. That is the compassion and the articulation of how ready these energies are for divine union, because they're being sensitive about the fact that you don't need to cultivate a manifestation goal in someone. You just need to recognize if it is present. Continuing to get clarification. And for the energy right now deep within divine union, a lot of this work that we're seeing that's occurring deep within the divine union right now, trusting the process, trusting the process, trusting the process, trusting the process is all I'm kind of getting right now. It's a little bit difficult for masculine and feminine. Feminine's feeling a bit overwhelmed right now. Feminine's feeling a little bit energetically overwhelmed. Masculine is working through with a lot of this work that we're seeing right now in relationality to grounded. Like masculine is going through more of this work right now in like navigating the emotional space. Because I see even now, this is masculine energy, like working through, this is masculine energy working through some past emotional traumas or triggers is what I'm saying. Feminine is working more in that modality or frustration of, again, building out, like not taking others' opinions of them personally, not letting that effectively articulate or define them is what I'm seeing. So this is heavy work in the emotional spectrums of both masculine and feminine right now. And a little bit more difficult for feminine today. Continuing to get clarification between our star energy in its reversal and our death card in its upright. Can I get one card to clarify, please? Clarification coming through right now with the Chariot. Here's the thing about it though, and this is what I think is really important that we're seeing right now for the energy deep within the divine union frequency is, it's just, when things are difficult, you don't stop. Like when things are rough, that's not the place that you stay. This is the energy that just kind of pushes through to a certain extent. Right? And if you're going through something that's difficult, that's when you continue forward. Like that's when you just continue forward to a certain extent. Because we see even now that for a lot of that energy, navigating those spaces and places and being pragmatic, I told you, not taking things personally, just being practical, continuing forward to a certain extent. Like I'm getting here. Feminine's learning a little bit of this energetic resilience in terms of like dusting themselves off and just continuing forward. This is giving me like a little bit of this, like, I'm tired, grandpa kind of energy. Because here we even see that even in some of this right now, it's a little, I want to say, and this is what I need to show you this, because this is the difference between, this is interesting because this is the difference between how masculine and feminine are navigating some of this slowdown in this retrograde period. So I'm telling you even now, like this is masculine energy that's trying to stay grounded and stable, even feeling a lot of these abandonment wounds rising to the surface. Okay, you see this? This is a lot of the masculine energy dealing with some of the traumas or the circumstances of the past, right? And here we have feminine that's doing a lot of these, so this is the masculine that's almost going backwards right now in some of this retrograde energy. This is feminine that's feeling the frustration and trying to push forwards and carving some of those new paths and again, not being sure what's on the other side, right? So you see even now, this is feminine pushing forward right now with uncertainty. This is masculine going backwards with stability, seeing things from a more stable perspective. So you can see how this is a little bit, it's not that it's energetically easier, because I'm sure all the masculine are being like, that's not easy. Like, it's not that that's not easy, but you have to see that masculine is being able to look back on the past with a heightened degree of stability right now. That's why it may be feeling a little bit more energetically secure. Feminine is doing a lot of work in forging forward right now without, it's like, this is feminine being like, I've never done this before, right? Like, this is like that kind of energy. So we see even now, this is like hitting in different ways, and both energies are feeling a little triggered by it. Masculine may be triggered more by the past right now. Feminine may be feeling more triggered about the past, trying to hold them back as they push forward. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union, this is the trust process that is occurring right now, that is requiring so much of that trusting in the process. Because masculine is looking right now with perception of the past, understanding why the feminine energy is feeling those doubts, feeling those uncertainties, feeling those fears, building into that sense of consistency, saying to feminine, give me the patience to show you that I am coming towards you with integrity. Feminine is feeling that anxiety point of having to take that trust fall, taking a bit of that leap of faith right now, but also feeling the excitement of potentially recognizing that this isn't necessarily the past repeating itself. This is what we would articulate as a breakthrough. And that's what I mean is sometimes when you're having a breakthrough, it can feel like a little bit of a breakdown, because if you're not used to it, you're like you don't have the gift of the past. Like, it's like you don't have the gift of the past, but if the past was not great, like, that's not necessarily a bad thing, right? So just keep that in mind right now, feminine, navigating these spaces and places. While for masculine and feminine energy right now in separation, this is the gift of the retrograde coming through right now that is informing you, that's helping you move forward right now in relationality to circumstances or situations. For masculine, this may be that recognition point that if you come towards feminine and you experience confusion from feminine, you have to ask yourself, are you giving feminine consistency? Are you giving feminine clarity and consistency? If you don't want confusion from feminine, then you need to ask yourself, are you giving feminine clarity and consistency? Because typically confusion comes through when there's a lack of clarity and consistency. So what do we see that a lot of masculine energy and separation is working on right now? Recognizing and building into that pathwork of clarity and consistency. This is the masculine energy that's kind of growing, like, and I want to say there's a lot of energy right now of masculine and separation. And I think this is important here. This may be a lot of masculine energy unpacking situations in the past wherein, again, I told you, and this is the same, this is the lesson that was coming through for the energy coming into divine union a week ago. So this is the masculine energy recognizing that when you don't open your own emotional center to feminine, when you close off your emotional center, then that ability, like, feminine closes off theirs too. This is the masculine recognizing and saying, oh my goodness, when I approach feminine, my emotional center's closed. Feminine can see it. Feminine knows it. Feminine does so in kind. So this is the masculine energy that may be saying to themselves, if you're in separation, this is the masculine energy looking back in the past and saying, was that energy of feminine that I experienced in the past, was that really a cold feminine? Was that an unfeeling feminine? Or was that a feminine energy that recognized that my own separation, my own emotional distance was indicative that they had to close off their own emotions as well? This is the masculine energy in separation, recognizing that feminine acts as a mirror towards masculine. And so this is the masculine energy potentially looking back on past experiences and recognizing those spaces or places where they may have felt like they did not know an energy of feminine, because the feminine recognized that that emotional distance was there and protected themselves by closing it off in kind. While for feminine energy right now, this is a lot of the feminine energy working through those modalities or experiences where, again, that ability to that ability to be one's authentic version of self. This is the feminine energy that is looking towards something now and saying, I don't want to be in a modality where I have to close myself off in order to maintain a connection with masculine. And when feminine energy does not have clarity as to what the future holds, this is the feminine energy that often tries to make themselves go energetically numb, because this is the feminine energy that says that the emotions that start to arise in a moment where you don't have that clarity and consistency. This is the feminine recognizing in the past that ability of feminine feeling like that was a failure point on feminine in feeling something. But rather, it was more the feminine energy recognizing the circumstances or situations that were almost requiring them to have to go energetically cold to a certain extent in order to maintain and facilitate a connection. Sometimes that's a quality and characteristics that are required and the only way that one can persevere forward through something. And this is the feminine energy saying, no, thank you. This is the feminine energy going, wow, that was this is the feminine energy going, no, I'm not doing that again. And this is why we see so much of this energy having that transformational moment in separation. Continuing to get clarification right now between our Death card in its upright and our Six of Swords in its reversal. One card to clarify, please. Two cards coming out to clarify. We've got here our Seven of Swords, Wands, and our Page of Swords. This is more of the understanding and relationality to the manifestation goals going forward for energy and separation. It's different for masculine and feminine right now. Masculine and separation is having a lot of breakthroughs. Masculine energy, I see this and a lot. And listen, I'm going to say it right now for masculine energy and separation. Just listen to me right now. If you're going through a moment of energetic regret, I want you to remember that regret is a gift. That regret is a gift. That the ability to look back on something and to wish that you could do something better is archetypal, is beautiful. It shows you how much you've grown. It shows you how much you've grown. It shows you how much you've grown. If you're holding regret, I want you to work through that regret. And remember, the gift of having regret is there's no better place to have regret than this moment. Because the moment that you have regret is the moment that you are able to enact a point of energetic change within the self. So I see even now that for a lot of the masculine energy navigating that space, don't feel frustrated if there's something that you're recognizing that you're now able to do that you couldn't energetically do before. That means that you're growing. That is a gift. And so we see even now, there's a lot of this energy right now this is not only masculine and separation, but this could be a lot of that masculine energy and separation that's looking back on the past version of self. And you've got notes. But those notes are now helping you build into that space or place of becoming the person that you desire to be. And this, as I told you, the work of this retrograde has been knocking the ego over to find the person behind it. And so for a lot of that masculine energy right now, you may be feeling like you may be looking at places and spaces where you may have, I feel like a lot of masculine energy is looking back on the past right now and saying, my ego got in the way. My ego was supposed to protect me from something, and instead it moved me further away from what it is that I desired. So in that moment that we recognize that our ego that tries to protect us actually moved us away from something that we desired to move towards, these are the moments that we immediately start to heal the ego, because that's that moment that we recognize that protectiveness, that if we're not conscientious of it, if we're not mindful of our ego, the ego can start to move us away from things that we desire, trying to protect us from things that don't need to be protected from, i.e. the abandonment wound. So for a lot of the masculine energy right now, this is a lot of the masculine energy working into that coming. And how do we protect ourselves from the ego in that way? We come into that state or that space of identifying and recognizing like what it looks like when those moments occur. And instead of reacting to something, we get introspective about how we feel. Because in the moment of becoming introspective about how we feel, we can ascertain as to whether the ego is doing something that actually feels like it's energetically protecting us, or if it's standing in the way of us moving towards what we aspire and desire with our intentions. While for feminine energy right now, this is more of that modality of the feminine looking back potentially on past situations and circumstances. And this is why the feminine is not existing in any spaces that don't create that sense of energetic commitment, because this is the feminine energy that almost says to themselves in separation. The feminine energy is moving towards manifestation goals that are given in clarity, because the ability to amplify the choice that is given by articulating what those manifestation goals are is for the feminine energy clarity between masculine energy that approaches feminine and says, I desire you to be co-creator in what we are creating together, versus masculine energy that may approach feminine and not articulate what that is, by which of basically saying, I don't necessarily want to build with you. I would just like you to be a role, to serve a function in my manifestations, right? So we see even now that a lot of that energy, recognizing and identifying that, this is allowing for a lot of that transformation. Feminine coming into that space of saying to themselves, I don't want to enter a relationship or an experience that when I start, like that the only way to persevere in it is to not let myself feel something. Masculine coming into that modality of saying, I need to move from a place of clarity and openness, because how else can I build forth in a place where the feminine feels that they can be their authentic version of self if I don't show them that I can create a safe space that they can inhabit to do so. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, coming into divine union, this is the gift that the energy and divine union has given one another. Because we see even now, there's uncertainty here, there's anxiety, there's a lot of questioning in relationality to what someone has articulated versus what is coming to bear. But I need to stress here, that is the modality of commitment. That sense that, again, we never necessarily know, we never have complete certainty in relationality towards the energy around us, but we build that forth in terms of our intention. We build that forth in terms of our energetic commitments to ourselves. And this is the energy that's basically saying that the commitment that they're bringing forth to one another is saying to each other that trust that we create between ourselves, it's something that we reinforce time and time and time and time and time and time again, because that is the energy that recognizes that articulation point, that consistency we build is the pathwork of trust in terms of building healthy relationships, because that is the energetic commitment that we say to someone again, time after time after time after time after time, I will make this choice. That is what commitment is. It is a commitment to say time after time after time after time after time, I will make this choice. That is the energetic commitment that we find in divine union partnership. And it is active. It is ever present. It's not something that you just wanted and done it. It is something that is currently occurring every moment that you exist within it. Continuing to get clarification within these cards for the energy deep within divine union right now. A lot of that energy deep within divine union is coming through those modalities or those circumstances or experiences wherein, again, it's requiring perseverance. There's a lot of this energy right now that's like the path of perseverance as well as the pathwork of purpose. And when we navigate forward in the pathwork of purpose, you don't get knocked off because there's a strong wind. You move forward regardless, energetically regardless. And that's a little bit of the difficulty that we're seeing for so much of this energy right now within divine union, is feeling the energetic frustration that others are of navigating that, giving others, feeling that same sense and that same energetic commitment. And then again, building into that sense of energetic compassion, hoping that others do the same as well. It's difficult, right? But again, that difficulty usually is the art, like we can do hard things. That's almost like what the energy within divine union is saying. If it's hard, keep going. If it's hard, we can do hard things. If it's hard, it probably means you're going in the right direction. Continuing to get clarification between our Five of Pentacles in its upright and our Knight of Cups in its transverse. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Hermit card in its reversal. Now, you know, I have to stress here, the solitude, this has been, I know it's been a very quiet retrograde. I keep getting the thing with this quiet, this energy here is like this retrograde has been like, it's quiet, right? A little too quiet. You know, it's like, it's a little bit of that type of energy to a certain extent, right? It's like, it's literally, it's like the heart, it's like the heart of the lull, you know, it's the heart of the lull. And so it feels very estranging, right? It feels very isolating. And that ability to navigate through that energetic, I got to stress that if you're feeling like that, don't take it personally. Don't take it personally right now. Assume others are feeling it too. What happens if you don't assume it's just happening to you? What happens then? What if you assume that everyone's feeling like that right now? How's that going to make you feel? Is that going to change how you feel right now? Is that going to make you navigate forward with a little bit more energetic compassion? Be a little compassionate, okay? Just be a little energetically compassionate in that space or place right now. Because again, don't assume, don't take things personally. Don't assume, if you're feeling like that, don't assume that everyone else isn't. Operate from the space that maybe everyone else is in that way. And I think that you'll recognize it almost allows for that sense of like, I told you what's happening right now. The best way I can describe the energy of this retrograde is like feeling like you're being put on hold and you're getting more and more frustrated about it. Imagine that the person that you're about to launch off on has also been on the same hold waiting for you. That is going to help you navigate this type of energy right now. And that's why I keep telling you guys, don't you dare pop off on someone right now. Don't get frustrated, get productive, navigate spaces and places with compassion. Okay? Because again, and that feeling is because again, we're about to go into eclipse season. So trust me, things are gonna boo. Like things are gonna boo. Like you're gonna be looking back on this and be like, wow, that was nice. Remember that? You're gonna be looking back, being like, that was nice. Continuing to clarification. And I know you're saying no, but you know, you go back to this in like 2 weeks, okay? Continuing to get clarification on these cards right now. For masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, this is a trust process. And I'm telling you right now, I don't want any of that like little whisper in your ear saying, what if this person's not true? What if they're just saying these things? I want you to recognize, again, an energy, I want to point this out. A good energetic connection will never leave you in a place in feeling like you have to guess. A good energetic connection will build forth in consistency and will do everything they can to show you that stability is present. And so we see even now, not getting triggered, allowing yourself that space or place of building towards consistency. It's requiring a little bit of a trust process right now. But I see even now the energy, both feeling that anxiety, that is the expression of care here. Because I see even both energies fearing that the other energetic person is also in that moment of saying, I don't know if I can fully trust this person, because these are energies that are healing from past experiences wherein, again, there may have been modalities where it wasn't easy to do so. Don't let the shadows from the past inform you. Don't let them overshadow your direction going forward. And I'll tell you right now, this is why, because even, I have to point this out, even the energy in separation right now, this is energy that separated, that chose clarity. They chose clarity over bringing each other forth in directions that they didn't aspire and desire to go. The compassion is the clarity. So we see even that coming through right now. The energy right now in separation is simply coming into separation. And I'm just seeing this in modalities where, again, someone wasn't able to articulate what their manifestation goals, or we're just trying to build relationships based upon the emotions, recognizing that emotions, the emotions are the breath that we put in the building that we create. The commitment is the building itself. So that breath of life, those emotions, this is a lot of the energy that's basically saying it's vital, but it's not enough to build upon a relationship upon. A relationship is built upon the structure and the identification of what it is that you're residing in. So we see even now a lot of that energy just accepting that, and the gift that's occurring in those modalities is the energy isn't taking it personally. If it's not present, they're just recognizing that it's absent. The ability to like not take something personally if it's something is absent is a bit of a gift here, because it's allowing the energy to move forward, because this is the energy that's almost saying to themselves, if someone isn't willing to tell the structure of the building that's being inhabited in relationality to the relationship itself, then they're describing the nature of the relationship, which is requiring someone to be effectively transient. You know, not necessarily feeling ever present for something, but never feeling homed, never feeling like there's stability, right? Next card flying out of the deck between our Knight of Cups and its transverse and our Chariot energy, we've got here our Four of Pentacles. So for masculine and feminine energy right now, you know, working through a lot of this that we're seeing here. This is a lot of that work that we're identifying. And I have to stress this here. For masculine and feminine energy in separation right now, you know, there's a lot of this work that we're seeing that is very much focused on the practical. And I even see right now, there could be some energy that's like moving away from someone saying like, you know, I can almost hear someone saying, you know, you're ruining this because you're asking what it is. Like I can see someone trying to say that to someone, saying like, you're taking all of, like someone saying like, you're taking all of the, like, and I have to stress this, if there's someone here that's coming towards someone with an emotional appeal and someone's looking for the practicality of it, this feels like almost like, I need to stress this. This almost feels like someone like throwing something at the back of someone's head as they're leaving and saying like, you know, why are you being so stubborn? Like, why are you being so resistant? Why are you being so unromantic? Why are you being so hard? And I feel like I see a lot of this energy looking towards someone and saying that, like almost having to say to someone, like it almost feels like it's validating something there. I can almost see it, you know? Because even in that moment, it's not necessarily something about someone giving clarity as to what's occurring. It almost feels like someone that is faulting someone energetically for moving away from something that is just articulating on the ineffability of the emotions, right? The emotions are like wind, they're ineffable. They're transient, they change. The commitment that we provide to one another in articulating what those manifestation goals are creates the framework, the supportive environment of an energetic connection. So we see even now that for a lot of that energy, navigating those spaces and places, feeling that stability, building into that stability, this is what's allowing a lot of the energy in that modality to like reaffirm their own energetic commitment in relationality to what it is that they're hoping to build forth going forward. This is just the energy recognizing it. This is just the energy reaffirming it. This is a lot of the energy experiencing that as they're coming into separation and feeling that double affirmation, if you will, in feeling doubly certain about the direction that they're going that feels like it's the correct one, simply because of that observational point in recognizing and understanding that tangibility is not a nice to have, it is a need to have, it is integral. It is the integrity of the energetic connection. So a lot of the energy right now moving in separation, just being very mindful of the integrity of an energetic connection. While for masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, and this is why I'm telling you even now, I see energy that is in separation, that is still effectively facilitating forward in such a way that they're focusing on the fact that even in that experience, they are building towards integrity. Because even if there was a separation here, but there was an observation in terms of what one desires to manifest versus what another desires to manifest, and that observational point and the difference in between, the amplification of giving someone the ability to choose. Like that is the energy that holds space and compassion for one another, that allows for that amplification or that articulation into moving into that divine connection. While for masculine, and even there, we see that if these are energies or circumstances or situations that like they're moving forward from, that feeling of the gift, this is the energy that's gifted one another with the ability to interpret that going forward. And that is where we see a lot of that healthy energy coming through. Now, for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union right now, through that, we see that ability of trusting one another. Like this is the energy building upon that trust process. So even building upon that trust process right now, it's like, it's a little bit of that like wait and see. Like this is the energy that's almost holding firm and building into integrity. And often building into integrity requires that ability to trust, but it doesn't require blind trust. I need to stress this. It doesn't require blind trust. It's the type of trust that we provide to one another because it's that sense or that space of valuing what it is that we're trying to create together and doing that work in terms of saying like, this is like the gift is the stability, right? Like energy that is working on trust together authentically is always trying to build into that framework of helping someone feel that stability. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is deep within divine union, this is more of that work in terms of prioritizing purpose. This is trusting the process. This is being energetically patient. This is doing that type of work. It's hard work, right? Because a lot of this here, I feel like there's been a firmness that's been kind of required around some circumstances or situations right now during this retrograde. But again, that firmness is a lot of that path work of energetic integrity to a certain extent. Because I see even here, that is like the energy that's like moving forward in such a way in terms of like really focusing on what is important. And that ability of doing so, like that is the structure that is occurring right now that's helping a lot of the energy kind of getting over the hump of these last few days of the retrograde itself. Getting clarification between our Chariot in its upright, our Page of Swords in its reversal, and our Seven of Wands in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Judgment card. So again, a lot of this work that we see is occurring right now within divine union is this is healthy. It's productive because there's a lot of energy I'm seeing right now that are moving out of this retrograde period, feeling very like committed and certain to their energetic actions at this time. I'm just seeing this to a certain extent. Like this is the energy that's feeling like, and I want to say this, like this is that feeling that like, if something is hard, like I said, if something's hard, keep going, like that's that pathwork of purpose. It doesn't require something that feels energetically easy. Sometimes that pathwork of purpose, when it's difficult, it's like, that's where the work needs to be. Like that's where the work needs to be. And so we see even now, like a lot of that energy, the gift that's occurring in those spaces and places is recognizing and building upon the value of trusting one another's judgment. I just see this here to a certain extent. There's so much of this work here because I just keep seeing that so much of this energy in this circumstance. It's like the ability of acknowledging or having someone acknowledge and say to you, like, I see how hard you work forward towards something. And the fact that it isn't easy, like that is almost reaffirming the energy's commitment towards one another in the process. And that in itself is like why we see so much of this work is integral right now. Now, for a lot of the energy coming into divine union, this is why this is more difficult. Because this is the energy that recognizes that commitment that we build towards one another, it's not just stated once, it's built upon those commitments to the choice again and again and again and again and again. And that type of consistency that we create, like that is the commitment that we provide to one another, because that is the focus or the clarity that we see even now, that a lot of this energy is saying, I'm doing this work to show you that what I'm saying to you, it's not just something that I'm articulating. It's something that I'm doing the work to show you is coming towards you. So we see even now that for a lot of the energy, this is a moment of potentially healing from past experiences where, you know, like I want to describe this. Someone always saying like, you know, like having that moment of articulating something and then preventing it, building forth in such a way that it felt like there was always the energetic excuse. There was always the energetic blocker. This is how a lot of the energy is feeling the difference in terms of some of the decisions that they're moving towards, because this is the difference between the energy that's doing everything they can to facilitate a path forward versus energy from the past that may have felt like, I told you, anything convenient coming up to feel like it would create like a different point of like a different energetic burden. Continuing to get, and while for the energy right now in separation, this is what I see for so much of this energy having a breakthrough right now in separation, because it's simply that recognition point of not taking it, like I want to say, not taking it personally if something is not present in an individual that you're seeking in a manifestation goal. This is just the energy that's not taking that personally anymore. You're not in that place of trying to change it. Like the healing is just coming in the observation and the ability to move away from what doesn't feel like it energetically serves you. What happens when you move away from what doesn't energetically serve you? You tell the universe, I'm looking for what does. I'm looking for what does. Like you have to navigate that space with that sense of understanding. Continuing to get clarification. And so even there, and I have to stress this, if these are experiences even now, I almost see like there's some energy of people walking away from something here. And I keep getting like someone like throwing something at them as they go, you know, like something that almost feels like hurtful or wounding. And what's crazy about it is I see a lot of energy that as they're walking, like going to go, they have that moment. And it's like all the clarity in that perception, because it's almost seeing something and saying, that wasn't the articulation of a manifestation goal. That was the clarity of the fear of the fact that, like, you know, I'm not like, I want to say like someone feeling anxiety or fear because someone's not willing to do the work of trying to wrestle a manifestation goal out of another person. Like, this is like, you know, like there's a little bit of this energy here saying like, I want to say like, there's a little bit of this energy that I'm seeing for some of the energy in separation that feels like a little bit of like, you know, come back here and like, come back here and fight for this, and being like, there shouldn't be it. And I can see a lot of the energy being like, there shouldn't be a fight. That's the thing. It shouldn't have to be a fight. Why is it a fight? Why does it have to be a fight? Like I can see a lot of the energy in separation kind of navigating that space and saying like, well, there it is. Like I shouldn't have to. This is the energy I'm saying to someone. I'm not in the job of wrestling manifestation goals out of individuals. Continuing to get clarification between our Hermit card in its reversal in combination with our Four of Pentacles in its upright. Can I please have one card to clarify? Clarification coming through right now with our Knight of Wands and it's upright. So, you know, I'm just seeing here a lot of this work that like, I'm just identifying that a lot of this, and I'm seeing here, it feels positive. It feels productive. It feels like, I need to say, it feels like breakthrough energy. It really does for a lot of the energy in separation. And I keep seeing that there's something that is potentially happening right now in separation. And I need to stress this. It almost feels like in the moment of energetically separating from someone in that way, seeing something that validates that choice, like seeing something in that moment that further provides clarity to what that choice is, you know? Because for masculine and feminine right now, because I'm just seeing that so much of this is like, I want to stress this. This is the energy that's basically understanding that like the best way to move towards a manifestation goal is to find someone that has the same manifestation goal, because then that just moves you twice as quickly towards those manifestation goals. Like that ability of doing so, like once you recognize that, why would you ever choose otherwise? Like, why would you ever choose otherwise? And that sense of not feeling like you need to chase someone down to see if they have the same manifestation goals. Like, this is just a lot of the energy saying, like, this is how some energy is protecting their peace right now, even in separation. This is like the energy in separation saying, I'm protecting my peace because I'm looking for those that are moving in the same direction as I myself am. You know, like you don't need to encourage someone in that direction. You don't need to feel like you have to wrangle them. You should just kind of see them moving in that direction and feeling that easement point. So I'm seeing even now, like, I just feel like there's a lot of that energy that's like kind of moving forward in that way, but they're not, and that's the thing. They're not trying to drag anyone else with them as they do, you know, like they're just like, that is some of the healing, is just letting that kind of like, and I want to say it feels elevating. It feels a little carefree here. It feels like that energy that's just like, you know, it's like once you release yourself of the burden of feeling like you need to pull that out of someone and you just seek it within them, it takes a lot of pressure off of you to a certain extent, right? Continuing to get clarification on this. This is why, and I'm telling you even now, this is why I'm telling you that there's some energy that's in separation that still holds each other in high esteem and high appreciation. Because if these are modalities where they went into separation by articulating what the manifestation goals were, recognizing that they wanted different things, and then they departed like peacefully, this is the energy that almost says, I will never forget them, and I'll never forget the gift that they gave me. Because this is the energy that almost looks towards something and says, see how easy it can be when we care about each other and we're considerate in that fashion? See how simple it can become if we do so? So we see even now that so much of that energy facilitating upon that, it feels like a breakthrough. It feels like an energetic breakthrough. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, and even here for the energy that is, you know, holding forward in terms of feeling they are sharing those manifestation goals, this is the energy that's just building that pathwork of trust. And there's anxiety here, clearly. There's anxiety because those are articulated statements of what they hope to build together. But this is also in the energy that's facilitating, showing one another that those are not just words, they're actions. Masculine and feminine deep within divine union right now. This is heavy work into the pathwork of purpose. And when we're building into the pathwork of purpose, you know, I'm actually seeing, it feels to me like there's a little bit of this like easement point that's coming to a certain extent, because I just keep seeing that there's something about this like ability to, I have to say today is feeling like a good day for creativity. Like there's a lot of this energy here that I feel in terms of communication, in terms of creativity. I'm seeing even now, like there's a lot of that work that's happening here that's, you know, and I keep seeing it's just like, it's what happens in those modalities where you don't take others' quietude energetically personally. You become more robust. You just continue forward because you're not holding yourself in that modality of waiting for something. You're just going forth towards it. So we see a lot of that energy right now, putting that time and effort towards places in that way. Continuing to get clarification between our Four of Pentacles and our Judgment card in its upright. One card to clarify, please. Clarification coming through right now with our Justice card. So this is nice. I like the fact that we're seeing that by the ending of by the end of the day, we're starting to see a bit more balance coming through right now, particularly in that sense or space. I want to say, like, it feels to me like wheels being greased by the end of the day to a certain extent. Like this is productive. This is positive. This is saying to me, like, there's a lot of energetic balance around something here. And a lot of it here, I want to say, it feels like there's a lot of integrity here. It feels like activation and integrity. And I'm just recognizing as well, like something about this here. You know, for energy deep within the divine union, this is exactly what we've been talking about, which is like not letting yourself feel energetically distracted from anything that feels like it's taking longer. You're like, and this was some of the work that we saw that was being kind of pre-worked through during the double Capricorn full moon cycle. Like not letting yourself get distracted, just letting it kind of focus you even more. We see that a lot of that energy deep within divine union is building into that feeling of energetic focus, or being able to energetically focus and prioritize. For a lot of the energy coming into divine union right now, this is again the energy that either feels like someone gave them the gift and that they're holding forth and taking with them to move into divine union, moving forward. Because it's being able to observe something in a way that gives you clarity on anything that you've experienced in the past. Or this is the energy that's building into that prospect of trust by recognizing not only the combination of articulating what those goals are, but showing that ability to like move towards them in a very like inconsistency, like with the consistency that is required, that builds that sense of energetic balance, that creates patience, because it doesn't feel like you're waiting for something to arrive. You're feeling like it has arrived. You're just being patient through it. While for masculine and feminine energy and separation, this is just the energy that's like, I'm telling you even now, a lot of this energy in separation is reaffirming their own commitment towards their manifestation goals. And this is a lot of the energy in separation, just articulating and reaffirming and saying that when you're moving with intentionality towards manifestation goals and relationality to partnership, that's not something that you need to wait for clarity on from another in terms of what they desire. This is the energy that's almost saying to themselves moving forward. That's just something that is part and parcel for what needs to be articulated in the moment of coming into energetic contact with another person. Like this is just the energy that's like, that is the energetic standard holding forward. It's not something that you have to wait upon. It's something that is required in order to potentially build with someone. So we see even now, like that's some of the energetic lesson that is being recognized in some of these connections here, because that ability to articulate upon it is becoming the qualifier going forward in relationality towards the connections that I see that are occurring at this time. Final card for today's spread, between our Knight of Wands in combination with our Justice card. I love this. Finally, upright. It's very good to see a card like this upright in the midst of a retrograde. We've got here our Eight of Wands. So this is saying to me, productivity. Things are going to start to pick up. I have to say here, if you are feeling like that drag from this retrograde, I'm telling you right now, it's going to pick up real quick soon. It's going to pick up real quick. Just be patient. Just be energetically patient, because it feels to me like things are starting to move forward again, right? And a lot of that is like things picking up. And so making sure that, again, that you're very productive during this time. Masculine and feminine energy in separation, the breakthrough is being able to move forward on something that would have internally devastated you. This is the energy that's potentially recognizing how far they've come. If they're observing something and they're not taking it personally, they're just seeing it and being like, well, there's that. Like something that used to trigger you, not triggering you. Recognizing that, I'll put it this way. I'm getting somebody saying, like, it stings, but it's not knocking me over, right? Like that in itself is some of the strength that this particular Mercury retrograde in Leo is providing someone, is the observation of something. And I need to stress this is important. This is an energy that's becoming like insensitive. This is energy that is so sensitive that something that they would have devastated them before does not devastate them, because they're not taking it personally. They're taking it observationally. While for masculine and feminine energy that is coming into divine union right now, a lot of this work is the energy that is feeling the sense of something that is actually moving towards divine union, because this is the energy of someone that's putting those words to action to such a degree that it's allowing for that sense of balance. And that point of balance is not that moment of saying, I hope someone will come towards me with a manifestation goal. This is the energy that said, this is what we're doing. I need you to be patient as we move towards it, but also feeling something that feels like it's integrally whole, feels like it's in that space of being balanced, in the ability to feel that. It creates that sense of patience, because for a lot of the energy experiencing that, that's feeling like you're already within your manifestation goal because you're seeing the progress towards it. Masculine and feminine energy. And I have to say, even now, for some of the energy that came into separation but articulated clearly what the manifestation goals were that were creating the separation, this is energy that's also in divine union right now, because they've received something from a counterpart that gives them clarity as to what that feels like. And now they're just trying to find it with someone that also matches their manifestation goals. While for masculine and feminine energy right now, that is deep within the divine union, this is just work. This is just continuing forward on that pathwork of perseverance. This is not energy like I'm getting here, neither wind nor rain. This is not energy that gets affected by what's happening around them. Because when we're on pathwork of purpose, it's not about what happens around us. It happens within us. So a lot of this energy that's working towards those things, that is just the ability to a lot of the gift of this retrograde is having a lot of those feelings around you of frustrations, letting that, what happens when you feel frustration around you? Do you let it get you off course? Do you let it distract you? Or do you let it focus you? Bottom of the deck on this reading right now, High Priestess in its reversal. This is a little bit more difficult for feminine energy right now. Why is this a little bit more difficult for feminine energy? Because for feminine energy, those boundaries, that trust process, this is feminine energy that feels to a certain extent like there's something about this work. It feels a little bit more difficult for the feminine, right? There's a lot of this unpacking right now that is occurring right now for feminine energy, right? And I want to say some of this unpacking is ancestral. I got to say it. Some of this unpacking is ancestral. Like if feminine energy is feeling energetically unsafe to be their own self. Well, I mean, you can just look at history to give you the clarification as to why. So we see even now that for a lot of that energy that we're seeing here, right? For the energy within divine union, the beauty that's occurring within that is, again, masculine having that observation, seeing those difficulties, seeing those hurdles that the feminine faces to a certain extent. This is masculine, like I want to say, taking on, like what happens when we act as clear mirrors for one another. When masculine comes into that place of emotional empathy, this is the masculine energy potentially recognizing and feeling those same wounds that the feminine has and taking them on and sharing them together, right? Because this is that modality that when we enter, like when we're within divine union, our pain becomes their pain becomes our pain. So we see even now a lot of that energy holding firm to one another in that journey. That's hard. That's difficult. Masculine may be feeling very, I want to say, emotionally protective of feminine in that modality right now. For masculine and feminine energy coming into divine union, a lot of this work that we're potentially seeing at this time is, I want to say, attenuated on the feminine energy that wants to trust towards the masculine, but may potentially not have a lot of reason to do so, right? You have to recognize this. I told you the juxtaposition of these journeys is feminine having had those experiences in the past that effectively energetically required them to have to kind of hold their heart at a bit of an energetic distance. And that's not the feminine that desires to do so. That is the feminine energy that is doing that work. And again, I told you, some of the feminine energy's healing is being like, I can't just give my heart to someone if I don't know where they're going to go with it. This is the feminine energy that's being much more energetically mindful about where they're placing that, because this is the energy of the feminine that is recognizing those spaces and places of masculine that may come towards feminine that aren't necessarily mindful, that, take it personally if the feminine energy holds their energetic heart at a distance. So we see even now, this could be a lot of, again, the same energy of the masculine coming towards feminine within divine union, not taking it personally if they find feminine in that modality, but building into that sense of empathy and understanding why. While for masculine and feminine in separation right now, this is both masculine and feminine doing that work from within, and feminine, again, doing that work and identifying and recognizing. I need to say, this is why so much of the feminine energy is letting go of bitterness as they continue forward, right? Because when the feminine comes into that modality and feeling some kind of harm and then says everybody is like that, then what the feminine's really doing is they're almost denying their own self, because if the feminine energy wasn't like that, then you recognize that not everyone's like that if you're not like that. So this is a lot of the feminine energy working in terms of not becoming cold and bitter in the pathwork of experiencing those that they feel were not as empathetically or energetically open as they themselves were. This is often what we see that happens that we need to prevent against, because often as the masculine grows older, the masculine becomes more emotionally soft. The feminine becomes more energetically hard. If these do not meet in a way of trying to work against it, then they're always hitting that juxtaposition point. So we see even now a lot of that feminine energy working in that space of still being emotionally soft. Masculine recognizing and identifying that if the feminine's not is in that modality, and if you've been experiencing that for a long time, it's because when the feminine experiences masculine that isn't emotionally open, feminine does not open towards masculine. Feminine always stays resistant, because emotional, acting as clear mirrors becomes an act of reflection. So we see even now a lot of these energies doing that work within the self, but holding that expectation or that hope that the energy around them is also doing the work in the process. Masculine becoming more emotionally open, feminine building a point of resilience, but not coming into a place of becoming bitter or hard. That is where we find all of the energy prior. That is our daily collective energy update for today. I want to thank you guys so much for being here and experiencing it. Just a reminder, if you would like to book a private reading with me, you can book one on my website, gracestrega.com. My private readings are done over video, and if you are a subscriber to my TikTok, you can take 10% off any of my services when you pay. Just mention your subscriber name at the point of payment. Please keep in mind, if you book a private reading with me, it is a two-step process. You have to book the reading, you have to pay for the reading. Please make sure you do both if you'd like to have that reading. Most importantly, please remember that I will never, ever, 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 ever reach out to you for a private reading. I will never DM you. I will never PM you. I will never slide into your inbox and tell you that I have a very important message that only I can deliver. The only way you can book a reading with me is if you book one on my website. So I encourage you to do it there. Also, a couple of updates before we move into personal readings today. First and foremost, thank you to everyone who attended our last tarot class. Our next tarot class will be held on Wednesday, September 11th at 6 p.m. PST, 9 p.m. Eastern. We will be focusing our studies on the tarot on the Hierophant card. If you would like to become a part of that live class program, simply head over to my Substack, gracestrega.substack.com. Your paid subscription to my Substack will grant you access and entry into each month's live classes, and you'll also have access to the course materials and recordings for all of our previous classes. So if you're just joining us for the first time, you've got ample opportunity to catch up. You'll also have access to a one-on-one chat with me and the other students to ask any questions that you may have in relation to anything that we're learning. And if you become a founding member to my Substack, not only will you receive a discount on the full year's worth of classes, but you will also receive a complimentary one-on-one mentorship reading with me, wherein I will assess where you are in your own personal tarot journey and give you the best insights in terms of how to utilize those classes to the best of your advantage going forward. One of the things I tried to do in these classes was make them accessible to the absolute novice reader as well as the seasoned reader. There's definitely something there for everyone. So I want to thank you if you're already joining us there, and I look forward to potentially seeing you at our next class. And even if you don't become a paid subscriber to my Substack, I would encourage you to follow me there to stay up to date on any new offerings, services. I post my weekly newsletter there, which will give you a full update on my live schedule each week. You'll also have access to our giveaway information. Speaking of giveaways, we are wrapping up our August giveaway. If you would like to enter to win a free a free private tarot reading with me, just head over to the link tree in my bio. There's a 2-minute travel survey there. Filling out that travel survey will grant you an entry into the giveaway. But if you would like to increase your chances of winning, go ahead and forward that survey to a friend, because when I pull the winner, not only will I be giving a free tarot reading to the person who wins, but I will also be giving one to the individual who referred them. So I want to thank you in advance if you've already entered, and I wish you the best of luck in winning this year. Finally, I want to let you guys know I have a few new offerings I'm offering in terms of services, as well as my standard life path readings. I now offer mentorship classes. These mentorship classes can be purchased on an individual level or as a monthly series. So that is 4 45-minute classes, 1 per week over the span of a month, so that you can, and they can be focused on whatever area or course of study you're interested in learning more about. I take a limited number of students for this reason. Also, for my clients seeking more consistent weekly tarot support, I'm happy to be offering weekly tarot insight packages. That is a package of 4 30-minute readings, 1 per week over the span of a month, so that you can stay more consistent on your own journey. I want to thank you guys much for being here today and sharing in these messages, and we will do this again